Financial analyst Patrick Abankwaba observes keeping huge sums of money at home limits money supplied, depriving banks the needed funds for onward transfer to the private sector for productive ventures. This and many more stories coming up shortly. Hello there, good evening and welcome to Business Brief here on TV3. My name is Michael Obodu. Before we bring you our top story, let's check out some other stories that have been making the rounds in the world of business today.
Today in business, the Institute for Energy Security, IES, has projected that fuel prices could remain fairly stable at the local pumps in the first pricing window. The two-week pricing window begins on September 1, 2023. The secondary bond market had a rather quiet week. This is because investors hesitated to make moves while awaiting the outcome of cash coupon payments tied to new bonds. Workers at two large liquefied natural gas plants in Australia are set to go on strike from September 7 in a move that could drive up global prices. It follows weeks of negotiations with unions over pay and working conditions. Chevron, the U.S. energy giant which operates the sites, said it would continue to take steps to maintain safe and reliable operations in the event of disruptions at their facilities.
Well, thank you for staying with us. Let's go straight into our first story, as financial analyst Patrick Abankwaba has observed that the keeping of huge sums of money at home limits money supplied and circulating in the economy. He noted this trend deprives financial institutions the needed funds for onward transfer to the private sector for productive ventures.
People keeping their funds at home, for me, is becoming a worry. And that's where central banks should begin to look at measures to ensure that certain limit of cash are not given to people for them to go and, take the monies at home. There should be a limit for amount of cash that people can withdraw from the account. For whatever purpose of transaction, people should be encouraged to use the channels for transactions. Again, when people are keeping their funds at home, it leads to an issue of cash not being in the system. It affects money supply in the system. People are not going to get access to the cash. And central bank will continuously be pumping cash into the system whilst the cash are not being used for productive services. If the funds are with the financial institutions or the banks, these banks are going to give out these funds as loans to people. They are going to use that as a way of investment. But if the funds are kept at home, they are not part of the financial system. For me, that's a worry, and measures should be put in place as soon as possible, not just from the customer's perspective, which for me is more of education, but the regulator should also try to put in place some measures which will prevent people from cashing out funds and keep them at home, whether it's in cedis or the foreign currency.
Economist Dr. Saad Idrisu has raised concerns over government's excessive debt accumulation and its impact on future generations. In an interview with 3 Business, he noted the need to put a cap on government borrowing to create less or no room for misappropriation of government funds or finances.
Our debt to GDP is above 80%. And again, if you look at our public debts from 2016 all the way to 2022, it has gone up by almost 100%, which clearly tells you that there is no limit on how much any government could borrow. So I am calling on the executive, including, the legislature, to relook at the laws governing the Public Financial Management Act, amend some of these laws so that there will be a cap on government borrowing, limit how much each government could borrow, so that governments will focus on priority. Government will focus on what is really needed, because development is a continuous process. And again, sustainable development, you must always put the future generations in mind, not just constructing hospitals and roads for them, but also making sure that they come and inherit good national coffers.
A recent work by the Institute for Statistical, Social and Economic Research, ISE, suggests people who venture into planting for food and jobs, as well as one district, one factory, do not intend to stay for the long haul. A senior research fellow at ISE, Dr. Andrew J. Holmes, observed that the programs are not yielding the expected results because individuals who entered into the initiatives are not committed to the process.
Our recent work on the PFJ and the 1D1F suggests that the people who are coming to the space of the industrialization, they are not business people. They are people who want to take advantage of a one-time opportunity.
The Senior Research Fellow at the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, Dr. Andrew A.J. Holmes, noted unsupportive business environment is partially to be blamed for the situation.
Then there's also this idea that businesses normally want to recoup their profits very quickly. But why would they do that? It's because of the cost of capital. So if businesses can get patient capital and be able to work for a longer period, potentially we could get the industry up.
In the latest operational risk outlook by the Economist Intelligence Unit, Ghana is among 16 out of 51 African countries that experienced a worsened operational risk between late 2022 and mid-2023. This is primarily attributed to a deterioration in the macroeconomic risk subcategory. The following Business News Desk report has more.
The report points out that the negative trend is influenced by the impact of escalating domestic consumer prices, with repercussions on business profit margins and also on exchange rate and monetary policies. Despite challenges posed by the Russia-Ukraine conflict and the lasting effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, the macroeconomic risk subcategory maintains its position as the best rated across the region, with an average score of 43, equivalent to a C rating. This is due to the region's relatively rapid economic growth driven by expanding populations. On a positive note, 11 out of 51 African countries have shown an improved risk outlook. Countries such as Tanzania, the Central African Republic, and Ethiopia are experiencing improvements due to specific factors unique to each nation. Ethiopia's stability has increased in line with the ongoing implementation of its peace accord after a 2-year civil war, while the Central African Republic secured an International Monetary Fund deal in April 2023. The report also highlights the potential for financial sector distress due to high and rising public debt levels and comparatively low levels of banking supervision and autonomy in the region.
Let's now turn our attention to the currency market and find out how major trading forex is faring. From the currency market, we turn our attention now to the commodities market. Interesting development there. All three commodities are experiencing hike in prices. Cocoa is up by about $108. It's now trading at $3,583 per ton. Gold is also up by almost $17, trading at about $1,936.65 per ton per ounce, whilst crude oil is also up by $0.26. Trading for almost $85 per barrel. Well, on that note, that will be all for Business Brief here on TV3. For more business stories, please check out our website, 3news.com. My name is Michael Obudu. Thank you for watching. As always, please stay safe.